My name is Maya, and welcome to my channel, Cranley Place, where I'm posting content on scarf style, knot tutorials, and more. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to be notified of new videos, which I'm publishing weekly. In this video, I'll talk about a very special craft technique by some artisans in Kyoto, Japan, which Hermès has brought to the world stage in the form of some beautifully unique marbled silk and cashmere scarves. I'll give some background about the origins of this unique silk métier d'art, give an overview of the process, and highlight the marbled scarves that Hermès has issued so far. For the 19th century French fashion house Hermès, luxury is defined by its attention to detail, creativity, and building upon techniques discovered decades ago. Whether it's giving a second life to the discarded leather scraps at the Petit H atelier, or reinventing the silk métier by mastering techniques over as long as 10 years, every piece that comes out of an Hermès workshop is a product of thoughtful creativity. For example, last year, the brand launched a one-of-a-kind double-sided scarf using a fine and complex technique which was developed by the craftsmen and textile engineers of Lyon over 3 to 4 years for Hermès. Another rare know-how in silk métier revived by the house for the spring-summer 2021 season is marbled silk. Printed samples found by Hermès in its Lyon textile archives led to the rediscovery of the unknown method, which was then taken up by skilled Japanese craftspeople who have acquired and preserved this unique printing technique in Kyoto, marbled with vibrant colors and assembled like mosaic art. This Japanese silk marbling technique that was rediscovered by Hermès, in reality, took them about 10 years to find the artisan family in Kyoto who could execute this craft. Its origins began in Japan in the 12th century with marbling paper. This technique, called suminagashi, or floating ink, made its way to Europe and was eventually applied to fabric. In 1963, the patriarch of the family who owned Kyoto Marbling went to Germany to learn the craft and bring it back to Japan. Now, they are the only producers of this technique left in the world. Marble printmaker Moriyoshi-san is a true master of his art. Honing his skills over decades, Moriyoshi-san creates unique marbled fabrics for world-renowned brands such as Hermès, all from his small studio in Kyoto. While machine processes and mass production make manual crafts like this increasingly rare, Moriyoshi-san sees it as his duty to keep this tradition alive. Passing in-depth knowledge on to his son, he hopes to see Kyoto Marbling practicing this unique craft for years to come. The art of marbling paper is quite old. Unfortunately, like many historical facts involving paper, no one is exactly sure how old it is. Paper does not tolerate the ravages of time like stone or metal. However, historians do agree that the technique of marbling has been making paper exceptionally beautiful since 10th century Japan. Some scholars believe this art form was practiced even earlier in China, though no known examples exist. In traditional paper marbling, or suminagashi, floating ink, sumi inks are dropped into a shallow pan of water where they float on the surface. A surfactant made of tree resin is then dropped into the ink, which spreads across the water. Designs are added with a fan or by blowing gently. Then paper is laid onto the ink for a brief time and removed. Suminagashi is still practiced in Japan today. Similar methods also arose in Central Asia in the 15th century. In Turkey, for example, marbled papers were used to prevent document forgery, since the designs were impossible to replicate exactly. This gave marbled papers an even greater significance within the powerful Turkish Empire, and the tradition remains strong in countries such as Iran and Turkey. These methods eventually spread from the Middle East to Europe in the 17th century by Venetian merchants traveling along the Silk Road, where various countries each made their own adjustments and created signature marbling patterns. This was the period in which marbled end papers became popular in bookbinding, and you can still find these in use today. For approximately 400 years, the secrets of marbling paper were kept closely among the masters. Bookbinders were anxious to learn these secrets since it was fashionable to use marbled paper as end papers. Then, in 1853, a marbling master named Charles Woolnock published a book titled The Art of Marbling, which turned paper marbling into a popular handicraft and opened the floodgates for its use in everyday bookmaking. The technique of marble printing on fabric, which is distinct from the technique employed in producing marbled paper, was developed during the first half of the 20th century by Franz Kerr, a craftsman from former West Germany. This traditional technique has continued to be improved upon and enhanced over the decades by different craftsmen. The process of marble printing on fabric involves first creating a semi-solid piece of colored starch that's similar in texture to clay. Different colored starches are then combined, like a mosaic, to create the final pattern, which is then transferred onto fabric. Each pattern is unique and requires extensive experience and outstanding skill on the part of the craftsman. This template is then reproduced as a repeat pattern, which is wrapped around a cylindrical steel roll, and bandages are wrapped around this and left for about 24 hours to set. Once it's transferred onto the silk twill, the print, marbled with vibrant colors, yields these artful scarves, which are truly unique. Unfortunately, however, the complexity of the process and delicate handling required when working with material has resulted in marble printing on fabric becoming a victim of mass production and rationalization, and there are very few craftsmen in the world today with the necessary skills to create this beautiful product. Hermès has a video on this meticulous process, which if you haven't seen it already, you should definitely check it out. So far, Hermès has issued marbled scarves in a handful of formats, including a twilly, a muffler measuring about 5.9 by 70.9 inches, 2 silk twills, Ballade in Berlin by Wladek Kaminsky, and Robe de Soie by Florence Manlik, as well as a cashmere. This is Ex Libris by Hugo Rigard. Each of these are considered exceptional, so if you do find any, even directly from Hermès, either in store or online, expect to pay a premium. I was lucky enough to get my hands on Robe de Soie, the design by Florence Manlik. The original design depicted a horse made of trimmings. The mane, shadows of the coat, and outline of the harness were made up of braiding, cords, and piping. The Kyoto marble version takes the design to another dimension altogether with the vibrant colors and split treatment on the diagonal, with a kaleidoscope of warm colors on one side and a more subdued, watery palette on the other. One of the things I find so attractive about this scarf is this asymmetry. It's like getting multiple scarves for the price of one. Depending on your mood, each corner can yield a different look, and look at all the possibilities along the bias. So there you have it, a bit about this extraordinary craft technique of silk marbling and the Hermès scarves produced so far. In future episodes, I'll share other scarf reviews, knot tutorials, and more, so be sure to hit that subscribe button to be notified of new videos. Thanks again for joining me today. Until next time.